Welcome back to Over the Line Podcast. I am Gray, here with my co-host.
Bear.
That's it. Jeremy had to leave us. He just left us because
You're
he had
welcome.
to, which set up what we're going to record for this episode. So it worked out for us. So tune in. We're going to be talking about the Dale Earnhardt documentary. Wrote it down, was just called Earnhardt. We're going to talk about it and our thoughts on each basically episode and the thing as a whole, how Amazon did, tie it into NASCAR, what they're doing. So tune in here. But first, thanks to Wes Anderson for Mind Quarantine. Check him out on Facebook, Wes Anderson Music. Give him a follow on X and Instagram at Songs by Wes. Thank you to All Wear Clothing. Visit allwearclothing.com. Mention Overline Podcast and Brandon. We'll give you that deal. Thanks to Crandall's Quality Landscaping. Give Sean a call. 419-704-5471 serves the Toledo and surrounding areas and not.
Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you to Sparty Steve, Gracie Merch, Paper Den Martin, last but not least, Connell Barrett at datingtransformation.com.
Yeah, make sure you get over to datingtransformation.com and get that free consultation from Connell when you mention Over the Line Podcast. In the meantime, get to Amazon.com and buy Connell's book, Dating Sucks. But you don't.
So, we're here to talk about the Dale Earnhardt documentary. 4 parts of this series on Amazon. So first off, we'll dive into these, but overall, how do you think Amazon did with this?
I think Amazon did great. I thought it was very well done. Detailed, right? Get the full story, not just the racer, right? The full Dale Earnhardt story, family life, early life, racing life, work ethic, businessman, Teresa, the kids, everything. I thought it was very in depth. They did a very good job. A lot of the footage I thought was a lot of behind the scenes footage, man. I thought it was fantastic. Stuff we've never seen before. Um, just overall, Amazon, I think, did a really good job of talking to the right people, getting the right footage, asking the right questions, and I'd give it an A+.
Yeah, no, same. It was very, very good, very well done. And you got to see, as you said, the behind the scenes stuff, some of the things we didn't see or this before just didn't remember or know for that matter, and I didn't know enough until I went into it, into the first couple episodes. So like the first one was Ironhead,
Hmm.
was the name of that episode, and that goes into, his early start when he started with his race team and he drove the number 2. You remember that? A lot of people don't realize that he drove the 2 first, and he
Yep.
was a rookie in 1979, and dude just went off as a rookie. And then he did really well, and not as good as Junior ended up doing later as a rookie. But it was interesting to see because then in year 2, that's when he comes out and wins the title. And that's kind of what that first episode focused on is how they did that. He raced for the team. He was doing some Winston Cup stuff and just doing some testing, and he made his points debut in 1975, but he wasn't officially a rookie until 1979 when he
Hmm.
was with Rod Osterlund Racing. And it was interesting to see. He drove, so I don't know if you knew this. So when he got out there and he drove in that night the World 600 in 1975, um, he was riding that, but he got under, ironically, Richard Childress and spun out battling for third. So
Yep.
that's how he got out of that race. And then he drove the number 8 Dodge Charger and finished 22nd in the race, just one spot ahead of his future car owner, Richard Childress. He competed in 8 more races up until 1979, which he obviously came out and drove for Rod Osterlund. Um, here's what's crazy. Here was the other rookies in that class. Dale, obviously, Harry Gant and Terry Labonte.
It's a good crowd right there. I'm pretty sure all Hall of Famers, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. And then Dale won 1 race at Bristol. He had 4 poles and had 11 top fives and 17 top tens. Finished 7th in the points standings despite missing 4 races due to a broken collarbone. So they didn't talk about that in that first episode. He missed 4 races because of the collar. Or, can't remember. I don't think they mentioned it, did they?
Can't remember about that one. I want to say maybe they did, maybe it was slight, but I mean they always talked about how he did stuff with his injuries all the time.
Yeah.
What was the one? Was it his collarbone? No, it was. Yeah, because he tried to race laps and he couldn't do it, and they pulled him out of the car, I think.
Oh, yeah. You're right. So he had that, and then they, go into his sophomore season, and his crew chief was 20 years old, Doug Reichert, and he won the Busch Clash, and then he won in Atlanta, Bristol, Nashville, Martinsville, and Charlotte, and he won the championship that year. And they talk about it. He's the only driver in NASCAR history, I know they mentioned this on that, to win Rookie of the Year and then win a NASCAR championship the next season.
Hmm.
And he's also the third driver to win both Rookie of the Year and a Winston Cup. So that was David Pearson, and Richard Petty, the king. And 10 drivers have joined that since. Rusty Wallace, Alan Kawicki, Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, Matt Kenseth, Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, Chase Elliott, and Kyle Larson.
Interesting.
But the gaps are nuts. So, like Kenseth, let's go to Jeff Gordon. Won Rookie of the Year in 93, championship 95. Stewart 99 and 2002. Kenseth 2000, 2003. Harvick 2001, 14.
Yep.
Busch 2005, 2015. Joey Logano 2009, 2018. Chase Elliott 16 and 20. Kyle Larson 14 and 21.
Quite a few
Just
that are moved out a little bit, not like they had, right? 1-1.
right, exactly. So, um, they he falls off the map a little bit, and he still had that Wrangler. He drove the 15 Wrangler for Bud Moore Engineering, and they started to do. He finished out the year driving Pontiacs for Richard Childress in '81, and he placed seventh in the point standings. And he departed RCR at the end of the season, citing a lack of chemistry. That was funny because obviously he goes back to RCR in '84, and he replaced Ricky Rudd. And Ricky Rudd went to Bud Moore.
Mhm.
And then Wrangler sponsored both drivers at their respective teams. Earnhardt went to victory lane 6 times in '84 and '85. Talladega, Atlanta, Richmond, Bristol twice, in Martinsville, fourth and eighth in the standings respectfully. And then obviously he starts coming back. And this goes into the Intimidator, how he transformed into the bad boy of racing, chases Richard Petty's record of 7 championships. And his career feels tensions within the family. Life and death stakes of racing soon hit close to home. So that goes into Neil Bonnet. We
Mhm.
remember that.
Yep.
And Neil, he shouldn't have got back in the car, but he did, unfortunately, and killed him.
Yep. Yep. Poor Neil there. That was it was rather tragic, because he had what was it? Was it concussions? Is that what he had the first go
Yeah.
around, right? It was the concussions. And yeah, ended up getting back in the car and yeah, unfortunately wrecked again. And that was at Daytona as well, right?
Yep.
Which is foreshadowing.
Yeah. That's that's the hard part. Um, just you look at it and some of the things because they go into what happens. An angry fan sent Bill Frank. This is what I love. Uh, so Senior was forced in the infield grass, but kept control of his car and returned to the track without giving up his lead. That was the '87 All-Star race. It was the pass in the grass. Um, even though Earnhardt did not pass anyone while he was off the track, after the Winston, an angry fan sent Bill France Jr. a letter threatening to kill Earnhardt at Pocono, Watkins Glen, or Dover, which prompted the FBI to provide security for Earnhardt on the 3 tracks. And it closed after the 3 races when they finished without incident. So the FBI was able to leave. And as you know, because they talk about it in the Intimidator episode, A lot of people did not like how he was on the track.
Yep. Yep. They didn't, and that's just that's how Dale was. That's how Dale raced. It's always how they had him. But yeah, a lot of people didn't like that back then. And people don't like the same stuff now, right? It seems like that's how it goes. Get the same thing. Um, you get these there are guys that have come up since then, Kyle Busch, Carson Hocevar now, these guys, that they complain about how aggressive they are and this and that. Well, guess what? Dale was doing that all the time and he was the most beloved.
And then 88, that's when he switched to GM Goodwrench, excuse me. Wrangler jeans left in 87, changed, from blue and yellow to obviously his signature black, which we all know. Um, and then he lost to Bill Elliott and Rusty Wallace that year. And then the following year, he won 5 races, but a late spin out at North Wilkesboro arguably cost him the 89 championship as Rusty Wallace beat him by 12 points. Earnhardt won the final race, but Wallace finished 15th when needing to finish at least 18th to win. It was the first season for GM Goodwrench Chevy Lumina. Just crazy. And then obviously, it goes into the next one, that third episode. One Tough Customer is what that one was called.
Hmm.
He was going after an 8th championship, and it focused heavily on that Daytona 500, getting that win there, and it showed a lot of the different things that happened to him, running out of gas, getting caught in the pits, getting caught up in a wreck, all these different things that could happen, and what happened with his family becoming more complicated as Dale Jr. was starting to get up into his own,
Yep.
wanting to get into racing because they wanted him to go to art school, and he's like, no, I want to be a race car driver.
That was well, I know that place sounded military school. So
Yeah, yeah, they sent him to that too, which is crazy. Um, and that's when Jeff Gordon comes along, starts getting more popular, and he calls him, "Oh, here's Wonder Boy,"
hmm
and just built up that rivalry. And no, that was a good episode too. And then it gets into that Daytona 500 win, which was it was the 40th Daytona 500, 20th of his career, so he had raced in half of them
Yeah.
at that point. And obviously in '98, he moves to the front, gets up there, wins the race, and then everybody on every basically pit crew came
Oh,
out and shook his hand.
well, so cool. So cool to watch again. I
Yeah,
mean, just such a great moment. No one thought it was going to happen, and look at it. It was amazing. It was really cool to see.
yeah, it was nice to see that, and you forget how cool that was when he won. Now, granted, I look back, I'm like, fuck, I was 11, like just crazy. In what was that, '98?
Yep.
Yeah, and obviously that would be his one Daytona 500 win, even though he won a lot of he won the summer races there and the 125s, the duels, the clash, he won a lot of those.
Yeah, and I mean, I think this goes back maybe to even the second episode, but they showed how close he was at Daytona all the time. It's not that he raced bad at Daytona. It was always bad luck. 5 laps to go, there'd be a caution. 5 laps to go, he'd blow a tire, blow an engine. I mean, it was always some bad luck, where he's
Run out
leading.
of gas. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was crazy how bad his luck was when you went back and they showed all that. It was insane.
Yeah, and he gets the win. I'm glad he got that win because um, obviously we get into the last episode and a lot of the focus is on his death. And like you and I were talking about before we started recording the show, the first episode of this week, we talked a lot about, I told you like I sit there and hyper focus on the TV. It's like watching it every time I watch it, it's like watching it for the first time. You still get the goosebumps because you know it's coming and you're like, God, and you hate, like I hated. watching it go down, like 25 laps to go, 20 laps to go. I'm like,
Yep.
shit, he's gonna die. It's like reliving a nightmare, over and over and over again.
But
And you can't imagine because we have no connection to him outside. He was my favorite driver then,
yeah,
but I have no other connection to him.
but I think that's what makes the Amazon documentary good, right? It's like a good movie. The suspense builds, and yes, you know what's happened or you know it's coming, but when are they going to do it? Are they going to wait? Are they going to flash back? Like, what are they going to do? That's kind of why I enjoyed how they did that. But yeah, I mean, to go back and relive that race, I mean, whew, man, like I said, it's just one of those I can still remember. That's the crazy part, right? It's just you can still remember it, and you can still remember.
Where you were, what you were doing.
Yep. As it goes down and Waltrip's call, I mean just everything, right? It was surreal almost. But man,
Yeah, and what I didn't know is when Junior and Michael Waltrip were talking about it, like that Dale went to them and said, we're going to get up there. Three of us are going to be in front of this race. And they're like, how are you going to predict that? What? No,
hmm
that's not going to happen. And then they said when they threw that red flag, because Tony Stewart had a horrible wreck in that race. That
Yeah, it
was a
was
lot worse, looked a lot worse than Dale's. Obviously, Dale's was tragic, but you just look back and you're like, shit. And Michael said, he's like, I'm just sitting there at the red flag. And I'm like, well, shit. Well, 1, 2, 3, like Dale
one,
said.
two, three. Yep. Yeah, and
And that's,
just to go back and watch because Dale's never going to win that race. He never wanted to win that race. He was blocking the
no. And
entire
he was
time.
blocking for his guys, which
Yep.
isn't like Dale, He's usually blocking for himself, and he was just blocking for them. And a lot of the focus too was on that him and Kelly had a strained relationship, and they didn't talk 3 weeks leading up to his death, and that's a regret.
Mhm.
And it was tough. But Junior, you know, he could see when Senior started getting proud of him. You could see it too, because Dale was always stoic, and you could see it in his face when Junior started winning, and they could relate. And then he's like, and then Dad would come in and start talking to me and giving advice about what to do.
Yep.
And you could see that how important that was. Like when he wins the Bush championship, and Dale's messing with him, and he's like, and he's like, "That's the car owner," and he turns around and said, "That's my son."
Yep.
First thing he says, "That's my son," and he's like, "Also my driver," But he said that's my son first. So, Dale looks at that like probably looks back like this is about the time that all that stuff changed.
Yep.
And then,
Yep.
like my favorite one when he won his first race and he pushed the guys out of the way so he could be the first person to greet him
hmm
in the car. And then you look at, I forgot how dominant Junior was his rookie year.
Yeah.
I forgot all about that. And I forget it was his rookie year was the year before his dad died.
Yep.
So his
Yeah.
sophomore season's when his, dad died. I
So you
forget
know,
that.
yeah, it's one of those. I mean, yeah, he could race, man. He always could. He just, as he went on and did all that, he could never win a championship. He won, what, he had 38 wins or something. I mean, that's for NASCAR.
26 wins. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty darn
Um,
good.
it's still great. Yeah. And, a lot of them came in that first year. He won the All-Star race that year,
Yep.
which was a big deal. First rookie to do that. And, um, what was crazy is like, I'm racing with all, he's like, after he won the race, he's like, we got into the All-Star race. You heard Junior. He's like, we
Yep.
got in the All-Star race. And they said I get out there and I'm racing with my idols, my dad, his rivals, and doing that. And Junior just comes out and just won that race and had a great first year. Obviously won Rookie of the Year. Didn't win a title like you mentioned, which that was always the hard part for me is I wanted him to win a title.
Yeah.
Always wanted Junior to get one.
It would have
But
been it would have been good to have. And I mean, I know he was close a couple times, but yeah, I mean, it wasn't meant to be. But again, it's one of those you follow in the footsteps of one of the best, right? It's just it's so hard to do. There's a reason why Jordan's kids didn't turn out to be anything. There's a reason why there's just a reason why these greater than life athletes, these really good athletes, their kids are good. They're just, if they didn't have that last name, they'd be fine. If his name was Dale Smith Jr., he'd be like, yeah, he's a pretty good race car driver. But
he
because
is.
but because it's Dale Earnhardt Jr. and his dad won 7 titles, he didn't win any. You're looking like, well, what a disappointment. Well,
No,
like,
he was still a great driver.
yeah,
And it's just like Carl Edwards, same thing. You know, Carl Edwards was a great driver. He retired really early too. And I remember the one year he tied Tony Stewart for the championship, but Tony Stewart got the tiebreaker
yeah, huh?
because I think he finished in front of him or something. That's before they changed it to what the format is now, but they were tied. I'm like, what the fuck happens here? You know, like it
Yep.
was weird. And I think it's because Tony won the race. And I'm like, well, that sucks for Carl because I wanted Carl to win a title. That was, that would have been cool. But Junior, you always hope for. But after his dad died, his racing style kind of changed a little bit,
Mhm.
and it more or less changed really for Junior after he got in that fiery wreck, if you remember that, when he got knocked out and was in the fire and he doesn't remember getting out of the car.
Right.
He swears up and down his dad got him out of that car
Yeah, I remember
because he
that.
doesn't,
That was
and that
insane.
that kind of changed for him because he wasn't as aggressive as he was,
Right.
in his younger year. And he retired. I mean, he retired. It was hard to believe. I looked at that. I was like, fuck, he retired 8 years ago.
Hmm. Already doesn't seem like it.
No, and guys now, and you think back, it's, what Harvick, he was the old guy on in NASCAR. He was what 43 in his last season,
Yes, I think so.
which is crazy. And Senior was driving still top of his game at 49 when he died, which is
Mhm.
crazy to me. Even when I still look back at that now, I'm like, fuck, he was 49. He was a couple months away from 50, and
Yep.
now Junior's 50. That's
Insane,
what's
man.
crazy
Insane.
because you look at it and you're like, holy shit.
It's crazy how time is, isn't it?
Yeah. And you look back, I'm like, shit, when Dale died, I can remember where I was in like was that same years when 9/11 happened. I remembered I was in freshman health class when I found out. But it's like I still look back and I was thinking about that watching that documentary. I'm like, yeah, this was still I think of the Yankees losing, when they were up 3-0. That was the worst ever as, a fan. Or when you get the heartbreak when the Penguins lost to the Red Wings, all of that shit. But the worst still is Dale Earnhardt dying. Like
Hmm.
still probably the worst thing for me. And then the best in turn, which this episode leads into, which is by the way called Dale, is when he goes back to Daytona. And I didn't know about the part where they went the week before. Like they had a week off the week before, and him and his buddies went to Daytona. I didn't know
Walk the
that.
track. Yep.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. They walked the track, and he's like, I just went by myself and wanted to see how I'd feel.
Yep.
Because you forget he was 27 years old when his dad died.
Hmm.
So I think about that. I'm like, fuck, that's Parrot's age, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's young, man. And that was, yeah, that was, it was a good part of the documentary for all that. Because yeah, I mean, it's cool to know, right? Everyone, like he said, we get a week off. Everyone else is on vacation. Everyone else is doing other stuff. Yeah, we did. My buddies and I went to Daytona. That was our week off. We did all that. Yeah, and then so obviously going and winning that race was just unbelievable.
Unbelievable. And then Waltrip, I remember that because I'm like,
He
I
was
wonder if
second,
Waltrip,
right?
yeah, because I wondered if he was. I remember watching that, like, please don't pass him, like, don't pass him, don't pass him, don't, because he was the faster, he was fast, and he could have
Yeah.
came outside. And then I liked that Michael talked about it. He's like, yeah, I didn't want to be the villain.
Yep. Yeah, I mean that's exactly what it was, right? It was the I could have, but also at the same time, he recognizes what they did for him, because Junior probably could have passed him at Daytona, you know, and he did.
Yep. And he, Michael got that win, and it was hard. So it was cool, when you look back on it too, that Michael finally got to celebrate too,
Right.
and was there with Junior. They pulled up there and they're both hugging up there, smiling, both happy because they
Yep.
finished 1-2 again.
Hmm.
And then of course
DI was solid.
DI was great, and then Teresa took over, and like they said, they were missing Dale. You're missing the leader, and
Yeah.
everybody knows. And obviously, there's a strained relationship with Teresa and the kids, but it was good to see Kelly. Kelly, what did he say, took 50% pay cut to go working in his house in an office
Yeah.
to basically manage him because she knew he couldn't handle it. So she was like mom to him, which is what he needed. and like she was before when he went to military school and everything else.
Mhm.
And then now, I read the thing at the end that, she's obviously the CEO of that and, regarded as
In
one of the
Junior
best
Motorsport.
executives in NASCAR.
Yep.
And we're all waiting
It paid off for her.
and we're all waiting for Junior to get a cup team. Like we all want it. Like,
I just don't know if he will because I think he likes broadcasting too much, and I think he'd have. I mean, I don't think he has to get out of broadcasting if he has a cup team. He can't broadcast and have a cup team. I'm pretty sure that was the stipulation.
well, didn't Tony do both? Tony still did both.
I don't think he was on like an NBC broadcast. Like I don't think he was a weekly broadcast guy.
Mm,
You know what I
mm.
mean? He wasn't doing the play-by-play every single week. Yeah, I think he was now and then. Like, yeah, you can come on and say whatever. And Tony does Indy now. I think he broadcast. Or I saw him on Indy. But I think I saw that
Here you
that
go.
was the
You
whole
can be
time.
a broadcaster and an owner of a NASCAR team. Waltrip, a former driver, became a team owner and also works as a broadcaster. Brad Doherty, we forget about Brad Doherty because he had ownership in
But
JTG.
but Doherty's not. He's not doing. He's not a broadcaster. He does the pre-show shit like that. He's not running the race, right? He's not doing the race. Doherty does the pre-race, and then they cut into him every once in a while. Yeah, I just don't think. I don't think Junior would want to. I don't think he'd have the time for it. I think he enjoys the.
Well, I think Kelly would more or less probably run. Well, they'd probably share in it if she's heavily involved in junior motorsports. It'd be
Right, but it would
interesting.
be
Like,
with yeah, but it would be with the it'd be the driver. And that's the thing is Cup team is that okay, so if he does that, is he gonna bring up his guys then? Or who's out? No one's out there right now is the problem.
not right now, and you need to get some things there, but you get free agents now and again. Um, but the other thing is he'd have to pull away from Rick Hendrick can't own because Rick Hendrick owns part of Junior Motorsports.
Yeah.
Hendrick's got to give it up because he can't have ownership in two cup teams.
Yeah, and I don't think like I said, I just don't I think Junior's happy with what he's at and where he's doing. I don't see him having a cup team for a lot of those reasons, right? I just don't. I think he is totally content with that and staying in the Xfinity series and um, and racing well there. I mean, Junior Motorsports does very well in the Xfinity series. Very well.
See, and Allgaier finished ninth in that race. It's pretty good. I forgot
Mhm.
about that. JRM entry was a collaborative effort with obviously Chris Stapleton and Buffalo Trace. That was a big one.
Yep.
But if you could get like Bush lattes with
Chastain, yep.
Chastain, get a Bud car back out there. And that's why I wonder too. I'm like, who who could you bring? That would be the interesting part. Like Allgaier would be fine, but he's not a guy that's going to win you a title.
That's the problem is I mean, you have to bring Allgaier. He's obviously the best on his team down there. Um, I mean, it depends, right? The rumors that Bowman's going to be out of Hendrick this year. A lot of rumors there. Rumors that Suarez won't be with Trackhouse after this year. I mean, so yeah, you could get a Bowman Suarez Allgaier team for sure. Um, you
It's not a
know,
bad team. It's not a JGR or Hendrick team, but
yeah,
If you're running Hendrick motors though,
yep. But
that's
you're
a
not.
whole different thing.
Yeah. Yeah. You're probably not gonna win a title with those guys. But I think, Bowman needs a change of scenery. He's the forgotten guy at Hendrick that I just don't think anyone really cares about. You got Larson, the big dog. Byron is right on his heels, by the way, of big dog. Chase is the most popular driver. And by the way, Chase hasn't won in a while, but dude is a top 10 machine. I think he has the most top 10
Yes.
so far this year in Cup.
Mhm.
So it's not like he's doing bad. He's keeping his car clean. He's just not winning races at the moment. Um, so yeah, I mean, they get rid of Bowman and bring in another young gun, a Hocevar, to challenge these other guys. Who knows? Maybe they do. Maybe Hocevar goes with Junior, right? He becomes their number one because he could. Um, he gets out of Spire, right, and goes over there. So
Yep. And then they talked about, running another race. He said, yeah, if Travelers has interest in like Talladega or Daytona again, they'd run it again, same car. Um,
I assume that they'll run the Daytona summer race again with that.
yep. The other side of it, otherwise, I don't know what we're going to run another race this year, Earnhardt said. There'd have to be another partner, sponsor to walk in the door and say, "Hey, we saw what you did. We want to be on your car for another race. Y'all want to run another race? We've got we've got this much money and we'd invest in this event and we'd like to run that market. Can we do it?" That's a long conversation. So no plans to go run another race right now.
Okay.
So you never know. Um, but what would be nice um, is, Junior was very critical. What would be interesting? You look at somebody like Carson Hocevar. Dude's gonna be a stud. Like,
Mhm.
and he runs, and I don't like comparing to Dale, but we do. Carson runs like Dale did, with his crazy shit he'll do. And Kyle
Yeah.
Busch used to do that shit too.
Yeah, but they're yes, the moves is sometimes are aggressive. And I know Stenhouse got all mad at him for the Nashville race. Stenhouse got right down on his line. Hostfars didn't want to give it up. Yeah, I'm sure there's probably some unwritten rule or some respect of okay, let the guy in if he has most of the spot, but no one says you have to. No one says
Right.
you have to get. I mean, Stenhouse came down and Hosfar was there. Could he have easily backed off and had him have that spot? Sure. Guess what? He said, no, that's my spot on the track. And Ricky spun out because of that and then got mad at him. Oh, should have been clear. So, I mean, if I was Hostfar and came out and said, I would have been, yeah, should have been clear, you know? So, yeah, I think Hocevar could lead a young and upcoming team, especially if Junior Motorsports is that team.
Yeah. And Hocevar kind of, with what he did at Michigan, you saw it more than me. You were there. And I didn't really watch much of that race. I watched the end. But it, you're like, what's he doing? He's already on the bubble with the playoffs. And you're like, come on, man. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, and he said he had a fine race in Michigan. It's just the the pit stop. Shouldn't say the pit stop, but their strategy was 100% to try and run it and get them a caution. And unfortunately, he ran the tire low, and he was going to need fuel anyways. He wasn't making it to the end, so he was going to have to pit whether his tire went down or whether there was gas. He was just hoping there would have been a caution. So I get what
Yep.
they do. And teams like that have to make those choices to try and win a race, and yeah, it pays off. And guess what? If he goes in, makes that pit, he's the first one to lap down. Fuel, full gas, new tires. If they have one wreck, he takes the wave around, and guess who's right there? Everyone else got to come in and pit. And he
So
gassed.
here's what's crazy. So we know like Josh Berry and Austin Cindric are into the playoffs, right? So Byron's in with a win. Larson's got three. Denny's got three. Bell's got three. Blaney has one. Chastain has one. Logano has one. And then Cindric and Berry. So you got one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine different winners this year in 17, 15 races. So you've still got 11 races to go. And, you're going to see what's happening right now. Carson Hocevar is 18th in points. And on the bubble right now is Ryan Preece and Kyle Busch. He's 18 points behind him.
Yep. And you're going to have to expect an SVG to steal one of those spots, right? I mean, and he's low down there, but he's probably going to get one of those spots.
He's fucking 33rd in points.
Yeah, he actually raced well at Michigan. He's starting to get these ovals. It's not perfect, but he's getting better. He's getting better.
He's only got 192 points.
Well, there's only been one road course, so we'll see
But
how it.
here's what's crazy too. Brad only has 221. He's only one spot ahead of him.
Yeah, Brad Kay's had a bad year, very bad year.
Jesus.
I wouldn't be surprised if he just focuses on the team and gives his car up, and they get somebody else here within the next year or two. It just seems like he doesn't is not interested, and obviously Busher and Priest are Busher's their top guy for sure, and Priest is better than Brad. So I wouldn't be shocked if They move Busher into the 6. They move Priest into the 17. And then, they find someone for the 60, right? They get that up and comer for the 60. Or is it Bowman? Or is it Suarez? Because I think Zilich is going to be Trackhouse next year. I think they get
Oh
rid of
yeah,
Suarez and Connor Zilich is going
Connor
to.
Zilic is gonna. That dude's he's good.
Yeah, I think it'll be Ross, SVG, and Zilich. And Suarez will be looking for a team next year. But yeah, I could see Keslow stepping away and just being the owner with Roush, putting the suit on, and bringing in a young driver to be on that team.
Yeah, and I don't know how long Hocevar's deal is either.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but with Spire, I'm sure he's probably got another year or two for sure, probably
But
two.
you look at him. You imagine that kid going to somebody like Hendrick or Zilic.
Yeah, well, said he'll be all right. He'll be all right with Trackhouse. They got good equipment. They can go. I mean, Ross obviously got his win, but he was racing good this year up until that win. Suarez had a down year, and SVG is just new. So, um, I think Zilich in those cars would be good. But yeah, if you put him in a Hendrick, of course, I think he'd be great.
Yeah. So 2024 30th DNF. So he won. Huh. So Hocevar did win Rookie of the Year last year. Huh. Let's see. So motorsports career, because he raced in, so the truck series 23, he won 4 races, finished third. But I mean, that's it. He won 4 races there.
Hmm.
He has, he raced 36 races last year in NASCAR, had 1 top 5 and 6 top 10s. This year he's got a second, a sixth, and another second. He has 2 seconds. So 3 top 10s right now in 15 races.
Yeah, I mean, another guy, speaking of truck, who's going to be the next guy in Cup will be Corey Heim. Kid's a stud, man. Heim will be the next. He'll be the next one up there too.
Yeah, he's really good. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Carson Hocevar because he's only 20. He just turned 22 this year. So weird to see. He was born in 23 or 23, 2003.
I know, right? You see them 2000 numbers, and you're like, whoa,
God, I'm old as fuck.
old as fuck, boy.
What is that said? Rick Hendrick sent cheeky message by Carson Hocevar. Huh. Man, that's it's gonna be interesting. Is Carson Hocevar just Brad Keselowski 2.0? That's funny.
It's an interesting comparison, but okay.
Denny Hamlin thinks Carson can be a superstar and elite.
Dennis, Dennis Ham.
I mean, he is good. He's
Yeah,
really good. Fun to watch.
yes, he is. He's there for the long haul, that's for sure. And he's got
Yeah, it was,
personality. I like that.
yeah, that helps out a lot. Reminds me of like when you look at Keselowski. Remember when Brad won his championship and they gave him that big ass giant glass of Miller Lite? This
Yeah,
fucking thing was bigger than he was. He was hammered, and they just kept interviewing him. I'm like, why are you interviewing him? He's fucking completely hammered.
it's hilarious. It's great shit, pal.
Yep, it is great shit. Overall, like we said, we were here to talk about Dale. Then we went on our NASCAR tangent because we like NASCAR. So, um, Dale documentary was good. I hope Amazon does more. I know they got the Game 7 one that I watched a few of those were good. Um, you told me I need to watch the Chiefaholics or whatever it is.
Hmm.
I know that's another one they did, and with the success of this, I think it'll be good because we've been waiting for something like this for old Dale. We watched that Vince McMahon documentary on Netflix, and
Yeah.
you know, I love that documentary too, but this beats it. This was so good. Just what you see, things I didn't know about Dale.
Yep. I would agree. I think this is definitely better than that. And that was a very good documentary. But yeah, this is definitely a better documentary for sure.
Yep, and we love Dale, and he was great. And I remind my father-in-law, I'm like, "You sure you weren't Dale Earnhardt?"
It's the stash.
Yeah, the stash. I mean, and he's got some of the mannerisms, and he's kind of quiet like Dale too. And I'm like, Bob, I'm telling you, if you want to trip some people out on Halloween, let's just get you an Earnhardt jacket, get you the race pants, wear the sunglasses, and you got a good wrench hat already. Let's just walk.
Yeah, I enjoy that. It'd be hilarious. Be a great Christmas or great Halloween costume for sure. He'd be great.
Yeah, or like, come pass out candy at my house and dress as Dale Earnhardt.
It'd be awesome.
You can do it. Rattle his cage a little bit, you
Yeah,
know. Just
I just want Rouse Cage.
want to rattle his cage a little bit. No, he's dude was a legend. And they talk about the funeral and everything else, how many people were there, like
Yeah.
insanity. Or the thing about the flowers, couldn't fill things for 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Nuts. Absolutely nuts. But that's cool, man. There was a lot of love there for Dale.
A ton of love for Dale. And I would love to see Austin Dillon do good in the 3 car, but it was good when he got it to victory lane, but
Yeah.
should have just left it off the car.
The only reason why he's running is because Richard Childress is grandpappy. It's the only reason why he's in a car.
Yeah, I agree. But, the you look at old Ty Gibbs, his grandpappy owns the team too.
Yeah, and he's looked like absolute shit this year also.
Yeah, he did good for me this week.
I was about to say, I think this was his best finish that he had all year was sixth or whatever he was at Michigan. But yeah, it's
Yeah, because I forgot about him. Like, oh shit. And I'm like, what, and I look at the top 10. That's usually what I do now is I just go to the top 10 where they're starting. And you got to have a different strategy. And that and DraftKings, completely different strategies. And I was like, let's see. Yeah, I like this lineup. All right, good. And then I was like, fuck, they were all over the place. And then I look at the end where they finished. I'm like, oh shit, 3 of the top 4.
yep, locked in. He had the top score this past week.
Did I?
Yep,
Huh.
yep.
I need
You just need about 10 more of those in a row to maybe get into the money.
yeah, I'm not too far behind though. There's not a big separation like I thought there would be, like DraftKings. That's
Well,
done.
well, it is until someone gets a zero and then it changes the game.
Well, somebody in front of me has a zero and they're still in front of me.
No, also true.
Yeah, but we'll see. It'll take it. I think it's I want to know what Jeremy and old Junior are doing to be on top of NASCAR every year.
Uh, there's still collusion, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I agree. So, thanks for listening. Go check out the documentary on Prime. Also on Prime, The Accountant 2. I thoroughly enjoyed that as well.
Hmm.
But the Dale documentary is on there, prominent, still in the top 10 in viewing of shows. Check it out. It is free if you have Amazon Prime. Remember, if you have Amazon Prime, you have Prime Video. So go watch the Earnhardt documentary. It is
But
worth your time.
you gotta pay $3 for ads. No ads. Throwing that out there.
I paid for the ads. I didn't care. Or I don't pay for no ads. I just listen to the ads.
No, yeah, no, I definitely paid for that. It saved me 15 minutes or however long.
Yeah,
I'm
I
a
didn't
no
give a
ad
shit.
guy. I need to get through stuff. I can't have ads. It's
I,
too.
I don't like ads either, but I'm like, I can go to the bathroom, I can get a snack,
I don't need to do that. I want to watch it and be done and get on to the next.
and then go to bed. So
That's right.
Yep. So we'll get these episodes out. They'll come out tomorrow. One of them will, but you won't know because when you're listening to this, it's Sunday. So this was
We'll think
4 days
it's
ago.
Monday. We'll be very confused.
Yeah, everybody's confused. We're recording on Wednesday like we used to. I
Yeah.
forgot it was Wednesday and I forgot I have to leave at 7 a.m. So I'm not excited about that. So I'm gonna go to bed and that'll be great. So thanks to Wes Anderson, Crandall's Quality Landscaping, ConnellBear, Sparty Steve, Grey Key Merch, Paper Down Mart, and as always, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night.
Amazon, cut that check.